welcome to Library Time with Miss Kinsley. It's so good to see you again. The story that we are reading today, in continuing our celebration of Black History Month, is called The Hallelujah Flight, written by Phil Bildner, illustrated by John Holyfield. So I'm going to open our book. So if you can see here, we have our front cover, and we have what we call the book jacket. So if you turn the book this way, can you kind of see the book cover or the book jacket? So I think the book jacket right here does a really good job of giving a summary of what we're going to be reading about. So I'm going to read that to you today. I'm going to show you the front cover too again. Any ideas what our story might be about? Let me read the summary. In 1932, James Banning had a dream to fly across the country and inspire people brought low by the Great Depression. But for an African American pilot, even an ace like Banning, this was no easy feat. With his mechanic and co-pilot Thomas Allen, Banning fixed up a dilapidated Eagle Rock plane and took off for New York. The plane was so old and rickety that the people called Banning and Allen the Flying Hobos. And along the journey, they not only faced terrible weather and a desperate lack of supplies, but dangerous prejudice as well. But with a little determination and a lot of heart, they eventually reached the Atlantic Ocean and flew into the history books together. So let me show you another page. So I like how this story starts off with a map, and it shows that they took off from California and flew all the way to New York. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead and read about their flight. The Hallelujah Flight. When I first met James Banning, he said, "Mr. Allen, my dream is to fly a plane from sea to shining sea, and there is a 0XX6 Eagle Rock in our plane. But first, I'll need you to overhaul the engine." I just about coughed up my coffee. Replace the entire engine? How will we pay for that? Times were hard, and most folks didn't have a nickel to spare. "I've got an idea," Bannon replied. "Whenever people give us food, fuel, and supplies along the way, they can write their names on the tip of the wing. They'll fly into the history books right along with us." "That just might work," I declared. So there he is looking at the plane. Banning and I got right down to business fixing our plane. The crew from the airport thought we lost our marbles. "You'll be lucky if you get that crate 2 inches off the ground," cried the carpenter. "Even luckier if it lasts 2 minutes in the air," echoed the engineer. "They're a pair of hobos," mocked the mechanic. "The flying hobos, they all called us." So there they are laughing at them. Nevertheless, on the afternoon of September 19th, 1932, we flying hobos climbed into the cramped cockpits of the 0XX6 Eagle Rock and took off from Dicer Airport on the outskirts of Los Angeles. "Here we go," Banning cried. See them taking off? What a racket it made! The engine whined, my fittings creaked, and the tail section rattled. On top of that, our plane seemed to have a mind all of its own. Without any warning, it rocketed into a rise and then shot down into a dive. It kept us on our toes hundreds of feet in the air. That first day, we didn't even make it out of California. Then again, we weren't really expecting to. We just wanted to be sure our plane could fly. So they didn't even leave the state of California the first day. When we landed after the first leg of the trip, I inspected our plane from nose to tail. "We have a leaky pump," I said. I'm going to need some tools and parts. It's time we put your plan to the test. Banning and I headed into town and asked for help. So there he is talking to all the townspeople. At first, like the airport workers, the locals thought we were missing a few screws. However, as soon as we told them they could sign their names on the wing, every last one of them pitched in to help. Bright and early the next morning, we headed on our way. Flying over the desert of Southern California, the cozy cockpits heated up like ovens. It's too hot, I yelled. Do what I do, Banning hollered back. Suddenly, Banning was unhooking his overalls and unbuttoning his shirt. In a matter of moments, the two of us were flying in nothing but our underwear. I like this page because it looks a lot like the front cover. The next leg of our journey took us flying hobos over the state of Arizona. We soared high above the Grand Canyon, the painted desert, and the petrified forests. As nightfall neared, Banning spotted a familiar airfield in the distance. In the dark, Banning made his approach. He banked us around a group of mountains, and after almost sideswiping a silo, he slammed the plane down on the runway. The moment my feet touched the good earth, I cried, "Hallelujah!" "Hallelujah right back at you," Banning replied. The airport manager greeted us. "Hey, ain't you that fellow who blew out them tires landing here some time ago?" "Perhaps," Banning answered cautiously. "Why do you ask?" "Well, I'll be," the manager yelled. "Thanks to that little accident of yours, the city built us this brand spanking new runway. How can we ever repay you?" Banning's face lit up like a light bulb. "Well, we'd be honored if you would sign the tip of our wing. And for good measure, how about sending us off with some food and gasoline?" The next day, we were back on our way. However, as we headed on east, we encountered something far more dangerous than hot weather and nightfall: prejudice. At one stop, all we wanted was to use a washroom. "Climb back in that contraption of yours," the airport supervisor barked, "and go back where you came from." At another stop, we wandered into town to find some food. "We don't serve your kind around here," the waiter growled. "You ain't good enough for our eats." We turned tail and flew for our lives. They were not nice people. "Hallelujah," I said when the plane's wheels lifted off the dirt. "Hallelujah right back at you," Banning replied. So they were not treated well by those people. Our fortunes turned in Oklahoma, where we were able to rely on the kindness of family and friends. "Y'all look like you need some clean clothes and a warm bath," Mama Allen said when we stopped in Oklahoma City. "I smelled y'all before you crossed the state line." "Here are some fresh vegetables," said my high school sweetheart. "You boys need to stay healthy up there." "Take these plugs for my plow," said Banning's brother in El Reno, "in case you get any more leaks." "And here are some sandwiches," said his cousin. "I'll take as many as you can fit." Of course, they all signed their names to the wing of our flying jalopy. So there they are in Oklahoma with their family. From Springfield, Illinois to Terre Haute, Indiana to Columbus, Ohio, we flew without problems. But heading into Pittsburgh, we ran into a ferocious storm, the worst of the entire journey. "We're going down," Banning cried as he pulled up on the throttle to avoid a cluster of trees. "But where's the airfield?" I shouted. "Airfield? I'm aiming for that wheat field." On the landing, both wings buckled and part of the nose fell off, but somehow we made it down in one piece. "Hallelujah," I told my pilot and friend. "Hallelujah right back at you," he replied. Did you see them in the middle of the storm? That would be pretty scary. "Rise and shine," Banning said the next morning with the first signs of light. "I can almost taste the salt of the Atlantic Ocean." We jostled by Johnston, hiccuped past Harrisburg, and dipped over the Delaware before finally landing at Mercer Airport in West Trenton, New Jersey. After 3,300 miles and 21 days, we had just one small hop to go. On Sunday morning, October 9th, 1932, James Banning piloted our 0XX6 Eagle Rock over New York Harbor. We saluted the Statue of Liberty before turning toward Valley Stream Airport in Long Island, New York. "Hallelujah!" I cried. "Hallelujah right back at you," Banning replied for the final time. We received a hero's welcome in Harlem. So it's a celebration. They made it. A banquet dinner was held in our honor, and hundreds lined the streets just to shake our hands. "You call yourselves the Flying Hobos," a reporter called out as we greeted the throngs. "But have you got a name for this adventure?" We grabbed hands and raised our arms to the heavens. The Hallelujah Flight. All right, so again, our story was called The Hallelujah Flight. So I hope you enjoyed our story today. My question for you is, if you could fly anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? If you'd like to, you can also draw a picture of yourself doing something there. So maybe you want to fly to Disney World. You can draw yourself doing something at Disney World. Maybe you want to fly to see your family in another state. You could draw a picture of yourself with your family. So answer the question, and if you'd like to draw a picture, you can draw a picture too. All right, thanks for joining. See you next time. Don't forget to check out books too if you would like. Remember to fill out the Google form, and I will get your books ready and delivered to your classroom, or let you know when they are available for pickup for virtual learners. All right, I'll see you next time.